weak boy who admits to merging his past and future selves in order to save his beloved. He did not give up and tried again and again until he succeeded and became the strongest dragon hunter. The anime begins with a hero named Ragna encountering a monster. He slashes the monster with a single blow but is not satisfied with his abilities. He wishes to gain more abilities and become stronger. Suddenly, little Ragna comes to his senses and realizes that he is fighting with a small dragon. The dragon is about to kill him when a girl named Leonica intervenes and kills the dragon. Ragna thanks her, but she reminds him of how he should praise her. Ragna thanks her by placing his hand on Leo's head. It is said that dragons have an ancient magical bloodline and are the natural enemies and predators of humans. A dragon can be killed in two ways. The first is to use silver vine, an aura emitted by silver weapons to freeze their blood. The other option is to use sunlight to incinerate their bodies. Ragna and Leo return to the guild hall after defeating the dragon. Everyone recognizes Leo because she has killed many dragons and has a scar on her face. They both arrive at the guild hall, where the dragon hunters take their quests. Leo has killed the most dragons so far, despite being only 12 years old, and Ragna believes she will grow stronger with time. Leo expresses a desire for meat while eating dinner, and Ragna promises to cook it for her tonight. People are envious of Leo, but Ragna considers her to be his hero. He takes his picture while she is eating. A man mocks Ragna and Leo while they are eating, but they have no idea who he is. The man then introduces himself as Sykes Charluke, who is the second dragon hunter after Leo. He mocks Ragna, claiming that he is just baggage and cannot carry Leo's bag. Leo becomes enraged and attempts to stab Sykes with her sword. She inquires as to what he intends to accomplish with his sword. She also states that she desires strength in order to become the most powerful dragon hunter. She claims to be hunting dragons because they are the most powerful and strongest creatures. She asks everyone if they want to join her on her journey. Ragna is the only one who is willing to join Leo. Leo smiles and says that this is why she likes Ragna. She asks Ragna to take her home because she is tired. Ragna suggests that Leo take a bath and brush her teeth before bed. Leo is sleeping while Ragna goes out for training. He believes he will never be able to compete with Leo because he lacks her talent. He then encounters an older version of himself who informs him that he will lose Leo. He then sees Leo being captured and killed by a dragon. Ragna thinks it was a dream after waking up, but he hears his future version's voice saying it is near. When he hears this, he becomes concerned. Ragna informs Leo that he will cook meat for her today, which makes her very happy. She sleeps on the sofa after dinner and Ragna takes her to bed. Ragna notices her when she smiles while sleeping. Age of the Sun, year 498, February 23. Leo and Ragna go to Guildhall to get their new quest, but learn that there are no new quests. They sit outside and Ragna tells Leo that her hair needs to be cut. Ragna cuts her hair and has the dream of losing Leo again. On February 26, Ragna recalls his future version, telling him that he will lose Leo. Sykes and other dragon hunters are discussing how dragons have been acting strangely for several days. It seems that they are heading toward the city of Donna Piero. They are surprised at this because this city has not been attacked by dragons in the past decade. Ragna is contemplating his vision, and Leo realizes he has become distracted while working hard. She asks him what happened to him, and he responds by asking what he can do for her. Leo then recalls their first meeting and says she thought they both had the same level of potential. She goes on to say that he is not talented enough to hunt dragons, but she hopes he will grow stronger one day. She expresses her eagerness for the day when Ragna will be the strongest dragon hunter and promises to protect him until then. Ragna tells his backstory, claiming that his parents were devoured by dragons when he was 3 years old. He was raised by one of his relatives, but dragons devoured him as well. A wealthy man purchased him, but his estate was destroyed by dragons, and at this point, Sykes, who worked for that man, blamed and beat Ragna for summoning dragons. Leo then beat Sykes and asked Ragna if he wanted to hunt dragons with her. She stated that having a connection to dragons is not a bad thing for a dragon hunter. Ragna hesitated, but she persuaded him to accompany her. He realizes that Leo will never die before him. He believes he will be with her until his death, but he is terrified by his vision of Leo's death. On February 27, all the dragon hunters learn that Donna Piero has fallen. Sykes informs Leo that a horde of dragons attacked Donna Piero after sunset, and there has been no communication from the city since then. An emergency quest is issued by the kingdom to kill all the dragons who attacked Donna Piero. Ragna becomes pale after hearing all of Sykes' information and asks Leo to flee. They discover that the city is on fire, and Ragna realizes that his vision will come true. He insists that Leo flee, but she insists that she will never die. Leo heads back to Donna Piero, where many dragons are making their way to the city. A man covered in blood is seen among the dragons and two men rush toward him to see if he is okay. The man kills them by turning his blood into blades. Ragna recognizes the man who murdered Leo in his dream. Sykes is perplexed as to why a superior dragon would visit a place like this. The superior dragon encounters Sykes when Ragna attacks the superior dragon from behind. When he strikes, his blade shatters, and he is thrown into the river by the superior dragon. When Leo sees this, she becomes enraged and rushes toward the superior dragon. While sinking in the water, Ragna sees how he lost Leo and vows that he will kill every dragon. He resolves to become strong and powerful. He begins training and gains new companions, but they are lost in battle. He continues fighting beyond his limits, and one day he meets his future self, who tells him that he leeched and idolized a little girl as a hero. He claims that if Leo was important to him, he should have been the strongest. Ragna's future self explains that, despite being the strongest, he has nothing left to protect. He wonders what the advantage of strength is. The past self of Ragna begs his future self to give all his power to him because he needs it now. When he hears this, his future self says that is exactly what he was planning to do. He draws his sword and stabs his former self. When Sykes pulls Ragna from the river, he hears a voice from his future self, telling him that the past and future have merged. He says he is surging all his power in him, but he will have to pay for it. Ragna says he does not care about it. Leo, on the other hand, inquires of the superior dragon whether he is the dragon god or something else. The superior dragon questions how she can compare a lower dragon like him to a powerful god. He then attacks Leo and says that he is Grimwelty, the 10th seed of the blood of Wing. Grimwelty explains that the reason for the attack on the city was that their god was fond of pastries from a shop in Donapieru. The shop was robbed and went out of business the other day, despite the protection of the city by the blood of the Wing. The god became sad and declared that the kingdom would be destroyed. He claims that the fate of human nations is determined by the whims of their god. Grimwelty decides to attack Leo, but feels something coming from behind. Ragna can be seen removing his armor and walking ahead. He exterminates all the dragons around him. He recalls how he pursued his goal blindly and defeated death several times. I fought and survived again and again for 10 years. He then realized that his silver sword was part of him and he was part of his sword. His arm and sword merged together as he continued to fight. After 5 years, he was completely fused with his sword, and his body was transformed into a weapon that radiated silverine. He surpassed the limits of human ability and mastered the ultimate battle technique. Ragna approaches Grimwelt, who begins to freeze as a result of Ragna's presence. Ragna, he believes, is like a dragon's monarch, chosen by their god to be the bloodline's leader. He refuses to be afraid of humans. Grimwelten transforms into his true form and confronts Ragna. Before he can attack him, Ragna freezes him and shatters him. Leo and Sykes are shocked to see Ragna's powers. After seeing Leo, Ragna runs and hugs her and begins to weep. Leo taps his head, saying that she has survived. She believes he worked hard, but Ragna claims he did not. Leo thanks Ragna and comforts him. A man tells the future Ragna that he died standing still, and he warned him that he would have to pay a price. He says that his past will not last long, and he sees his face without a frown for the first time. He explains that their hopes to create a world without dragons are now dependent on their past selves. On the same day, all 7 cities of Lys are attacked by dragons and the Reaper of Dragonkind is born. All the dragons have gone, but half of the city has been destroyed, with so many casualties. Ragna and Leo rent a room in Sykes' house after their inn is destroyed by fire. Sykes enters their room and inquires as to what they intend to do next. Ragna suggests they leave the country because the dragon god has ordered the dragons to destroy the city. If they leave the country, the dragons will not follow them. Sykes asks Ragna if he is real because Ragna, whom he knows, has no talent or skill. He asks Ragna who he is, but he says nothing and falls asleep. He calls Leo repeatedly in his sleep and tears well up in his eyes. Leo claims Ragna earned all of her abilities through hard work. Suddenly, the earth shakes, and they see the forest moving toward the city. Sykes yells that the forest has attacked them. The man tells Ragna's future self to cross paths.